The Thaw, Alien Arrival and Earth's Awakening. The massive Kryvax mothership emerged from hyperspace, its gleaming silver hull reflecting the faint light of a distant sun. Commander Zorn stood at the bridge, his four eyes fixed on the blue-white orb that filled the main view screen. Earth, once the jewel of the Milky Way, now lay dormant under a thick blanket of ice and snow. "Scan complete, Commander," reported Science Officer Vex, her tentacles dancing over the holographic controls. "The planet's surface temperature averages minus 50 degrees Celsius. No signs of complex life detected." Zorn nodded, his scaled skin shimmering in the soft light of the bridge. "As expected, initiate thawing procedures. We'll make this frozen rock habitable again." The Kryvax had traveled across the galaxy in search of new worlds to colonize. Their own planet, ravaged by war and environmental collapse, could no longer sustain their civilization. Earth, with its vast resources and strategic location, was the perfect candidate for their new home. As the fleet of ships descended into the atmosphere, massive heat rays began to bore into the ice. Steam rose in great plumes, obscuring the view of the planet's surface. The Kryvax worked tirelessly, their advanced technology rapidly melting away millennia of ice. Days passed, then weeks. As the ice receded, the alien explorers began to make shocking discoveries. First, it was the tops of skyscrapers, their metal and glass structures miraculously preserved by the deep freeze. Then came the ruins of smaller buildings, roads, and infrastructure. "Impossible," Zorn muttered, studying the images transmitted from the ground teams. "This level of preservation, it's as if the planet was flash frozen." But the greatest surprise was yet to come. As the thawing process continued, the Kryvax detected faint energy signatures emanating from deep beneath the surface. At first, they dismissed it as residual radiation or malfunctioning equipment. But as the signatures grew stronger and more numerous, a chilling realization set in. "Commander," Vex called out, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and excitement. "We're detecting life signs. Hundreds. No, thousands of them. And they're human." Zorn's scales bristled with shock. "That's not possible. No species could survive an ice age of this magnitude." But the evidence was undeniable. As more ice melted away, the Kryvax discovered vast underground complexes sealed away from the frozen world above. These weren't mere bunkers or simple shelters. They were entire cities, built to sustain life for generations. The first human emerged from a hidden entrance, blinking in the unfamiliar sunlight. He was tall and lean, with pale skin that had never known the touch of natural light. His eyes, adapted to the dim illumination of the underground, widened at the sight of the alien ships hovering in the sky. More humans followed, emerging from hidden entrances all across the globe. They moved with purpose and discipline, quickly establishing perimeters and assessing their new environment. It was clear that these weren't primitives who had merely survived. They were organized, technologically advanced, and very much alive. Zorn watched the unfolding scene with a mixture of awe and trepidation. The humans they had expected to find, if any had survived at all, should have been struggling cave dwellers, barely clinging to existence. Instead, they were faced with a species that had not only endured, but thrived in the face of an apocalyptic event. "Your orders, Commander?" asked his second-in-command, hand hovering over the weapon's controls. Zorn hesitated. The original plan had been simple: thaw the planet, eliminate any primitive survivors, and claim Earth for the Kryvax. But now, faced with an advanced human civilization, the situation had become infinitely more complex. "Hold position," Zorn finally said. "We need to reassess our strategy. These humans, they're unlike anything we've encountered before." As the Kryvax fleet hung in the sky, tensions mounted on both sides. The humans, emerging from their underground sanctuaries, eyed the alien ships with a mixture of curiosity and wariness. They had prepared for this moment for generations, passing down knowledge and technology, always ready for the day when they would reclaim the surface. In one of the largest underground cities, Dr. Elena Chen, lead scientist of the Earth Restoration Project, addressed the Council of Elders. "The surface readings confirm it," she reported. "The Ice Age is ending, far more rapidly than we anticipated. And we're not alone." The council chamber buzzed with murmurs of concern and excitement. They had always known this day would come, but the presence of an alien force added a wild card to their carefully laid plans. "We've prepared for every contingency," said Council Leader Marcus Steele, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "Initiate First Contact Protocol Alpha. Let's show these visitors that humanity is very much alive and ready to reclaim our world." As the humans prepared to face their unexpected guests, and the Kryvax grappled with the implications of their discovery, both species stood on the brink of a momentous encounter. The fate of Earth, and perhaps the galaxy, hung in the balance. The stage was set for a clash of civilizations, a test of humanity's resilience against an alien force that had come to claim their home. As the last ice melted away, revealing a planet forever changed by its long winter, one thing became clear: the real challenge was only just beginning. First contact. Shock, awe, and tension. The dawn of a new era broke over the newly thawed Earth, its warmth a stark contrast to the millennia of frozen slumber that had preceded it. As the Kryvax mothership hovered above what was once New York City, a delegation of humans made their way to the designated meeting point in Central Park, now a soggy expanse of newly exposed earth and melting ice. Dr. Elena Chen led the human contingent, her heart racing with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Behind her walked Marcus Steele and a team of Earth's finest scientists, diplomats, and security personnel. They had trained for this moment for generations, but now that it was here, Elena couldn't help but feel the weight of humanity's future on her shoulders. From the Kryvax ship, a sleek transport vessel descended, touching down with barely a whisper. The vessel's doors slid open, revealing Commander Zorn and his entourage. The aliens moved with a fluid grace that belied their reptilian appearance, their scaled skin shimmering in the sunlight. As the two groups approached each other, an eerie silence fell over the park. Years of preparation and protocol seemed to evaporate in the face of this momentous reality. It was Elena who finally broke the silence. "On behalf of humanity, I welcome you to Earth," she said, her voice steady and clear. "I am Dr. Elena Chen, lead scientist of the Earth Restoration Project." Zorn's four eyes blinked in rapid succession, a gesture that Elena would later learn indicated surprise. "I am Commander Zorn of the Kryvax expansion fleet," he replied, his words translated by an unseen device. "We did not expect to find your kind here, much less in such an advanced state." Marcus Steele stepped forward, his imposing figure a stark contrast to Elena's more diminutive stature. "We've been expecting someone like you for a long time, Commander. The question is, what are your intentions now that you found us?" The tension in the air was palpable. The Kryvax delegation exchanged glances, clearly unprepared for this turn of events. Zorn's secondary arms twitched, a motion that put the human security team on high alert. "Our original mission," Zorn began carefully, "was to terraform this planet for Kryvax colonization. We believed it to be uninhabited, or at most sparsely populated by primitive survivors." Elena's eyes narrowed. "And now that you know differently." Zorn's scales rippled, a sign of discomfort. "Now we must reevaluate our position. Our people need a new home, but we did not come here seeking war." The human delegation exchanged glances. This was the moment they had prepared for, the delicate balance between asserting their right to their ancestral home and avoiding a potentially devastating conflict. "Perhaps," Elena suggested, "we can find a way to coexist. Earth is vast, and while we have a claim to this world, we understand the desperation that drives a species to seek a new home." Zorn seemed to consider this, his alien features unreadable to human eyes. "A noble suggestion, Dr. Chen. But I fear you don't understand the scale of our needs. We are not a small expedition, but the vanguard of our entire civilization." As the diplomatic dance continued, both sides acutely aware of the high stakes, activity bustled behind the scenes. In the underground cities, humans prepared for every possible outcome, from peaceful coexistence to all-out war. Weapons systems, dormant for centuries, hummed to life. Children and non-essential personnel were moved to the deepest, most secure levels of the underground complexes. Above the planet, the rest of the Kryvax fleet maintained a watchful presence. Warships, their weapons primed, stood ready to unleash devastation at a moment's notice. Yet they too prepared for the possibility of peace, with terraforming ships standing by to assist in the restoration of Earth's ecosystems. As the initial meeting concluded, both sides agreed to a series of talks to determine the future of Earth. But beneath the veneer of diplomacy, a current of tension ran deep. The humans, having survived against all odds, were not about to relinquish their hard-won resilience. The Kryvax, driven by the desperate need to save their species, could not easily abandon their plans for a new home. In the days that followed, as delegations met and negotiations unfolded, both species began to learn more about each other. The humans shared the story of their survival, of how they had retreated underground when the Ice Age began, carrying with them the knowledge and technology needed to outlast the frozen apocalypse. They spoke of generations born and raised in the vast underground cities, never seeing the sky but always dreaming of the day they would reclaim the surface. The Kryvax, in turn, revealed the plight of their dying world, ravaged by wars and environmental catastrophes. They spoke of their long journey across the stars, the hopes and dreams of billions resting on finding a new planet to call home. As understanding grew, so did the complexity of the situation. Many humans, while sympathetic to the Kryvax's plight, were unwilling to share the world they had fought so hard to preserve. Some Kryvax, impressed by humanity's tenacity, began to question the ethics of displacing such a resilient species. Tensions came to a head when a group of hardline Kryvax, frustrated with the slow pace of negotiations, attempted to establish a colony in what was once the Sahara Desert. The humans, their global defense systems now fully operational, responded with a show of force that left no doubt about their technological capabilities. The incident brought both sides to the brink of war. As warships maneuvered in orbit and human defense platforms targeted the alien fleet, leaders on both sides worked frantically to prevent catastrophe. It was in this moment of crisis that an unexpected voice rose above the chaos. Sarah, a young human girl who had never known life outside the underground cities, managed to breach security and address the combined human Kryvax assembly. "Please," she said, her voice trembling but determined, "don't destroy the world we've waited so long to see. And please," she turned to the Kryvax, "don't take away our home when we've only just found it again." Her simple plea, born from the innocence of a child who had only known stories of the surface world, cut through the tension like a knife. It reminded both species of the fundamental hopes and fears that drove them. The desire for a home, for a future, for a chance to thrive. As the assembly fell silent, contemplating the wisdom found in a child's words, both humans and Kryvax realized that the path forward would require something more than just negotiation or shows of strength. It would demand a fundamental shift in how they viewed each other and the planet they both sought to call home. The crisis had been averted, but the real challenge lay ahead. Could two vastly different species, both with valid claims to Earth, find a way to coexist? The answer to that question would shape the future not just of Earth, but of interstellar relations for generations to come. As the sun set on another tense day, casting long shadows across the thawing landscape, both humans and Kryvax retreated to their respective domains. They carried with them the weight of their people's hopes, the fear of an uncertain future, and the glimmer of possibility that tomorrow might bring a solution none had yet imagined. The fate of Earth hung in the balance, a delicate equilibrium between two civilizations at a crossroads. The next moves would determine whether this meeting of species would end in cooperation or conflict, in a shared future or mutual destruction. Unveiling humanity's resilience. As negotiations between humans and the Krivax continued, both sides began to realize the true depth of humanity's resilience and ingenuity. The Krivax, initially dismissive of what they perceived as a primitive species, found themselves increasingly awed by the technological and cultural achievements of a civilization that had thrived in the face of an apocalyptic ice age. Dr. Elena Chen, sensing an opportunity to shift the balance of power, proposed a series of cultural and technological exchanges. If we are to coexist, she argued before the Joint Council, we must understand each other. Let us show you what humanity has accomplished, and in turn, we can learn from your journey across the stars. Commander Zorn, intrigued by the proposal and eager to avoid further conflict, agreed. What followed was an unprecedented sharing of knowledge and culture that would reshape both species' understanding of each other and the universe. The first revelation came when the humans unveiled their underground cities. The Krivax delegation, led by Zorn himself, descended into the vast network of tunnels and caverns that had been humanity's home for millennia. What they found defied their expectations at every turn. Vast hydroponic farms stretched for miles, bathed in artificial sunlight that mimicked the daily cycles of the lost surface world. Fusion reactors, far more advanced than anything the Krivax had developed, hummed quietly, providing near-limitless clean energy. Schools, hospitals, and cultural centers rivaled anything found in the most advanced Krivax cities. But it was the adaptive technology that truly astounded the alien visitors. Humans had developed systems that could recycle and purify every drop of water, every molecule of air. Their bodies, through a combination of genetic engineering and technological augmentation, had adapted to life in the low-light, high-pressure environment of the underground. How? Zorn asked, his normally composed demeanor cracking with awe as they toured a genetic engineering facility. How did you achieve all this while buried beneath the ice? Elena smiled, a hint of pride in her voice. Necessity, Commander. When faced with extinction, humanity has a remarkable ability to innovate. We took the knowledge of our ancestors and built upon it, generation after generation, always with the goal of not just surviving, but thriving. The Krivax scientists were particularly impressed by the humans' advancements in artificial intelligence and virtual reality. Unable to explore the physical world, humanity had created vast digital realms, preserving the memory of Earth's lost landscapes, and even imagining new worlds. These virtual spaces had become more than mere entertainment. They were testing grounds for new technologies, schools for training in long-lost skills, and canvases for art and culture to flourish. As the exchange continued, the humans also learned much from the Krivax. The aliens shared their knowledge of faster-than-light travel, of the complex tapestry of galactic politics, and of worlds beyond imagination. This influx of cosmic knowledge ignited a new fire in humanity's collective imagination, rekindling dreams of exploration that had been set aside during the long winter. But it wasn't just technological marvels that bridged the gap between the two species. As they spent more time together, both humans and Krivax began to appreciate the unique cultural adaptations each had developed. The Krivax were moved by human art and music, expressions of emotion and experience that transcended the boundaries of species. They marveled at the human capacity for storytelling, at the myths and legends that had been passed down through generations, keeping the memory of the surface world alive. In turn, humans were fascinated by Krivax philosophy and their unique perception of time and space, shaped by their journey across the stars. The aliens' harmonious songs, performed with their multiple voice boxes, became a sensation in the underground cities. As understanding grew, so did mutual respect. The Krivax began to see humans not as primitive survivors, but as equals, perhaps even as potential mentors in some areas. Humanity, for its part, started to view the Krivax not as invaders, but as fellow travelers in the vast cosmic ocean. This growing bond was put to the test when a crisis erupted in one of the largest underground cities. A critical life support system, strained by centuries of continuous operation, began to fail. The city's 2 million inhabitants faced the prospect of suffocation within days. Without hesitation, Commander Zorn offered the assistance of Kryvax engineers and their advanced atmospheric processors. Working alongside human technicians, the aliens labored tirelessly to repair the ancient systems and supplement them with their own technology. The collaboration was a resounding success. Not only was the crisis averted, but the integration of Kryvax and human technology resulted in a hybrid system more efficient and resilient than either could have created alone. This incident became a turning point in human-Kryvax relations. It demonstrated that together they could overcome challenges neither could face alone. The success story spread rapidly, fostering a spirit of cooperation that began to overshadow the initial tensions. As the thaw continued and more of Earth's surface became habitable, joint human-Kryvax teams began the monumental task of ecological restoration. The Kryvax, with their advanced terraforming technology, accelerated the revival of long-dormant ecosystems. Humans, with their detailed historical records and deep understanding of Earth's biodiversity, guided the process to restore the planet to its former glory. The first trees planted on the surface in millennia became a symbol of this new partnership. In a ceremony attended by leaders of both species, Alina and Zorn together placed a sapling in the soil of Central Park. As they stood back, watching the young tree sway in the wind, both felt a profound sense of hope for the future. But not everyone embraced this new spirit of cooperation. Among both humans and Kryvax, there were those who viewed the growing alliance with suspicion and fear. They saw it as a betrayal of their respective species' interests, a dangerous dilution of their unique identities. On the human side, a faction led by General Axiom Blackwood argued that sharing technology with the Kryvax was tantamount to surrendering humanity's hard-won advantage. "We survived an ice age," he thundered in closed-door meetings. "We don't need aliens to restore our world. This cooperation is nothing but a slow conquest." Among the Kryvax, a group of hardliners led by Sub-Commander Vex believed that their species was compromising too much. They had come to Earth for a new home, not to play nursemaid to a species that should, by all rights, have perished in the Ice Age. As these dissenting voices grew louder, Alina and Zorn found themselves not only managing the immense technical challenges of restoring a planet, but also navigating increasingly treacherous political waters. The situation came to a head when a human extremist group, calling themselves the Pure Earth Front, launched a series of attacks on Kryvax outposts. Simultaneously, a Kryvax splinter faction attempted to seize control of several key underground cities, aiming to force humanity into a subservient role. In the chaos that followed, it seemed that the fragile peace between humans and Kryvax might shatter. But it was in this moment of crisis that the true strength of the alliance was revealed. Zorn, without hesitation, ordered Kryvax forces to defend human cities against the rogue aliens. Alina, in turn, mobilized human security forces to protect Kryvax civilians from extremist attacks. This mutual defense, this willingness to put lives on the line for each other, spoke louder than any treaty or diplomatic agreement. As the dust settled and the instigators were apprehended, both species realized that their fates had become inextricably linked. The challenges they faced, restoring a planet, building a sustainable future, and finding their place in the galaxy, were too great for either to face alone. In the aftermath of the crisis, a new proposal emerged. Instead of debating how to divide Earth between humans and Kryvax, why not work together to create a truly shared world? A planet where both species could live side by side, combining their strengths and compensating for each other's weaknesses. The idea was radical, unprecedented in the history of either species. It would require fundamental changes in how both humans and Kryvax viewed themselves and their place in the universe. But as they looked out over the rejuvenating Earth, watching as green began to reclaim the once frozen wastes. The possibility of such a future seemed not just possible, but inevitable. As the Joint Council convened to discuss this bold new vision, Alina and Zorn shared a moment of quiet reflection. They stood at the window of the council chamber, gazing out at the sprawling construction projects that were reshaping the surface of the planet. "Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this?" Alina asked, her voice soft with wonder. Zorn's scales shimmered with what Alina had learned to recognize as amusement. "Never," he admitted. "When we first arrived, I thought we would be gods, reshaping a dead world to our will. Instead, we found equals, partners in an endeavor greater than either of us could have undertaken alone." Alina nodded, her eyes fixed on the horizon, where the first new forests were beginning to stretch towards the sky. "We thought we were preparing to reclaim our world," she said. "Instead, we're helping to birth a new one, a world that belongs to all of us." As they turned back to join the council, both human and alien leader felt the weight of the task ahead. The road would not be easy. There would be setbacks, disagreements, and challenges neither could yet foresee. But they also felt an overwhelming sense of hope. For on this planet, twice transformed, first by ice, then by the combined will of two sentient species, something unprecedented was taking shape. It was more than a restoration of Earth. It was the dawn of a new kind of civilization, one that could reach for the stars not as conquerors, but as explorers united in their diversity. The thaw was complete, and in its wake, a new age was beginning, the battle for Earth's future. As the joint human Kryvax civilization began to take shape on the surface of the rejuvenating Earth, new challenges emerged that would test the strength of their alliance. The planet, awakening from its long slumber, proved to be full of surprises, some wondrous, others deeply troubling. The first sign that all was not as it seemed came when a joint expedition to the Antarctic, seeking to establish a research base, made a startling discovery. Beneath the retreating ice, they found the remnants of an ancient civilization, one that predated both humans and Kryvax. The ruins spoke of a technologically advanced species that had apparently foresaw the coming ice age and went into some form of hibernation. Dr. Elena Chen and Commander Zorn rushed to the site, their excitement tempered by a growing sense of unease. As they explored the vast underground complex, they encountered stasis pods, most of them empty or damaged beyond repair. But a few remained active, their occupants in deep cryosleep. "This changes everything," Elena breathed, her hand resting on the smooth surface of a pod. Inside, a humanoid figure floated in suspension, its features both familiar and alien. "If we revive them, what will it mean for our plans? For our alliance?" Zorn's 4 eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of deep thought. "We cannot ignore this discovery," he said finally. "Whatever we decide, it must be a joint decision. The future of this planet belongs to all of us now." As news of the discovery spread, it sent shockwaves through both human and Kryvax societies. Some saw it as an exciting opportunity to learn from an even more ancient civilization. Others viewed it as a threat to the delicate balance they had worked so hard to achieve. The debate over what to do with the sleeping ancients quickly became the central issue in the Joint Council. Opinions were divided, with passionate arguments on all sides. Some advocated for immediately reviving the sleepers, arguing that it was their planet first, and they had a right to be part of its future. Others counseled caution, fearing that awakening an unknown species could lead to conflict or even war. As the council deliberated, Elena and Zorn found themselves working more closely than ever. They knew that whatever decision was made, it would shape the future of Earth and potentially the galaxy itself. Together, they pored over the data recovered from the ancient site, trying to piece together the history and motivations of this long-lost species. What they discovered was both fascinating and alarming. The ancients, who called themselves the Exarilian, had been a spacefaring civilization far more advanced than either humans or Kryvax. They had deliberately triggered the Ice Age as a last-ditch effort to save Earth from a cosmic catastrophe, a massive coronal mass ejection from the Sun that would have stripped away the planet's atmosphere. But the Exarlian plan had gone awry. Most of their population had perished when their stasis systems failed over the millennia. Those few who remained in active stasis were the last of their kind, the final repository of knowledge from a civilization that had once spanned the stars. As Elena and Zorn presented their findings to the Council, the chamber erupted into chaos. The revelation that Earth had been deliberately frozen, that the Ice Age, which had nearly wiped out humanity, had been an act of preservation rather than destruction, was almost too much to comprehend. In the midst of the uproar, a new voice cut through the din. Sarah, the young girl whose plea for peace had once averted war between humans and Krivaks, now stood before the Council. In the years since that first encounter, she had grown into a respected mediator between the two species. "We stand at a crossroads," Sarah began, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. "Before us lies a choice that will determine not just our future, but the legacy of a species that sacrificed everything to preserve this world. We have an opportunity here, an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to honor the sacrifice of those who came before us." Her words seemed to calm the storm of emotions in the chamber. As silence fell, Sarah continued, "I propose that we wake them, not all at once, but gradually. Let us welcome the Exarlian not as competitors for Earth, but as teachers, as fellow stewards of this planet they gave so much to protect." The proposal was met with a mix of apprehension and hope. It was Zorn who spoke next, his voice carrying the weight of command that had led his people across the stars. "The young one speaks wisdom beyond her years," he said. "We came to this world seeking a new home, and found not just a planet, but allies, friends, family. Perhaps it is time we extend that same hand of friendship to those who sleep beneath the ice." Elena nodded, a smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "We've already proven that different species can work together, can build something greater than the sum of its parts. Why not add one more thread to the tapestry we're weaving?" The Council debated long into the night, weighing the risks and potential rewards of awakening the Exarlian. In the end, they'd reached a consensus. They would proceed with Sarah's plan, awakening the ancient sleepers gradually and integrating them into the new society being built on the surface. The process of reviving the Exarlian was delicate and fraught with challenges. Many of the stasis pods failed during the reanimation process, their occupants lost to the ravages of time. But a few dozen Exarlian were successfully awakened, their ancient eyes opening to a world vastly different from the one they had left behind. The integration of the Exarlian into the joint human Krivak society was not without its difficulties. Cultural misunderstandings and technological disparities led to tensions and occasional conflicts. But as the Exarlian shared their knowledge and history, a new appreciation grew for the interconnectedness of all life and the responsibilities that came with advanced technology. From the Exarlian, both humans and Krivaks learned of other civilizations among the stars, some friendly, others not. They learned of cosmic threats that dwarfed their previous concerns, of wonders beyond imagination waiting to be discovered. The awakened ancients also brought warnings of the hubris that had led to their own near extinction, cautionary tales that resonated deeply with both younger species. As months turned to years, the face of Earth continued to change. Hardline bioengineering techniques accelerated the planet's recovery, turning barren wastes into lush forests and thriving ecosystems. Krivak's terraforming technology, guided by human ecological knowledge and Exarlian expertise, reshaped continents and stabilized weather patterns. Cities rose that harmoniously blended the architectural styles and needs of all three species. The underground realms that had sheltered humanity for so long were not abandoned, but expanded and repurposed, becoming centers of learning and technological development. But perhaps the greatest change was in how each species viewed itself and its place in the universe. Humans, who had once thought themselves alone in the cosmos, now found themselves part of a galactic community. The Kryvax, who had come as conquerors, discovered the joys of cooperation and mutual growth. And the Exarilian, awakened from their long sleep, found redemption and purpose in guiding their younger counterparts. As Earth flourished under the care of its tripartite guardianship, eyes began to turn once more to the stars. But this time, it was not desperation or the desire for conquest that drove them. Instead, it was a shared spirit of exploration, a curiosity about what other wonders and challenges awaited them in the vast cosmic ocean. The Joint Council, now expanded to include our alien representatives, began to draft plans for a collaborative space exploration program. They would venture forth not as separate species, but as a united Earth, showcasing to the galaxy the power of cooperation and the strength found in diversity. As the first joint expedition prepared to launch, Alina, Zorn, and Exarlian Elder Jorah stood together, watching the massive ship gleam in the sunlight. It was a culmination of all they had worked for, a symbol of how far they had come. Who would have thought, Alina mused, that the end of an ice age would lead to this? Zorn's scales rippled with amusement. Indeed, we came seeking the new home and found so much more. Jorah, her ancient eyes twinkling with an ageless wisdom, added, and yet, this is but the beginning. Together, we have reshaped the world. Imagine what we might accomplish among the stars. As the ship lifted off, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of 3 species united as one, the cheers of the crowd below were deafening. It was more than just the launch of a spaceship. It was the dawn of a new era, one in which the combined strength of humanity, Kryvax, and Exarlian would face whatever challenges the universe had in store. The Earth, twice transformed, first by ice, then by the collective will of its inhabitants, now stood as a beacon of hope in the galaxy, a living testament to the power of resilience, cooperation, and the indomitable spirit of life itself. A new dawn, cooperation, and coexistence. As the years passed, the once frozen Earth blossomed into a thriving world unlike any seen before in the galaxy. The unique partnership between humans, Kryvax, and Exarlian had given rise to a civilization that combined the best aspects of each species, creating something greater than the sum of its parts. The planet's surface, once a barren wasteland of ice and snow, now teemed with life. Vast forests, their trees genetically engineered by Exarlian scientists to absorb carbon at unprecedented rates, helped stabilize the planet's climate. Oceans, their chemistry carefully balanced by Kryvax technology, were home to both Earth's native species and new forms of life, designed to fill ecological niches left empty by the mass extinctions of the Ice Age. Cities dotted the landscape, marvels of architecture that seamlessly blended the styles and needs of all 3 species. Towering spires of Kryvax design stood alongside human-inspired green spaces and Exarlian bio-integrated habitats. These urban centers were connected by a global network of high-speed, zero-emission transportation systems that allowed citizens to traverse the planet in hours. But perhaps the most remarkable changes were not physical, but social and cultural. The 3 species had developed a form of governance that respected their differences while emphasizing their shared goals and values. The Global Council, as it came to be known, was a fluid and adaptive body that used advanced AI systems to process vast amounts of data and feedback from citizens, ensuring that decisions were made with the best interests of all in mind. Education had been revolutionized, with knowledge freely shared across species boundaries. Education had been revolutionized, with knowledge freely shared across species boundaries. Children of all 3 races often learned together, fostering understanding and friendship from an early age. The Exarlian, with their vast repository of ancient wisdom, served as mentors and teachers, while human creativity and Kryvax technical expertise drove innovation in every field. As Earth flourished, its gaze turned increasingly towards the stars. The Joint Space Program, born from the combined technological prowess of all three species, had made remarkable strides. Colonies had been established on Mars and several of Jupiter's moons, each a testament to the power of cooperation and shared purpose. But it was the development of a new form of faster-than-light travel, combining Krivac's engine designs with Sarlian quantum theories and human intuitive problem-solving, that truly opened up the galaxy. Earth's first interstellar embassy had been established in a nearby star system, marking humanity's official entrance onto the galactic stage. On the 100th anniversary of the Great Thaw, as the awakening of Earth from its icy slumber had come to be known, a grand celebration was held in New Unity City, the planet's capital. Representatives from all corners of Earth and its colonies gathered to commemorate the journey that had brought them to this point. Dr. Elena Chen, now in her later years, but still sharp as ever, stood at the podium, flanked by Commander Zorn and Elder Jorah. The three of them had become symbols of the alliance that had reshaped their world, their friendship a living embodiment of the principles that now guided their civilization. A century ago, Elena began, her voice carrying across the vast plaza. We stood on the brink of conflict. Two species, each believing they had sole claim to this world. And beneath our feet, a third slumbered, holders of a legacy we could scarcely imagine. Zorn stepped forward, his scales shimmering with iridescent patterns that humans had learned to read as deep emotion. We came as conquerors, he admitted, seeking to claim this world for our own. Instead, we found partners, teachers, family. Jorah, her ancient eyes twinkling with the wisdom of eons, added her voice. And we, the Axarilian, awakened to find not the ruined world we feared, but a vibrant civilization ready to embrace us. Together, we have achieved what none of us could have done alone. As they spoke, holographic displays around the plaza showcased the achievements of the past century. Images of restored ecosystems, technological marvels, and scenes of daily life, where all three species worked and lived in harmony, filled the air. But the celebration was more than just a look back at past triumphs. It was also a time to address the challenges that lay ahead. For despite their achievements, Earth and its allies were not without adversaries in the wider galaxy. Reports had been coming in of a militant species on the fringes of known space, one that viewed the cooperation between humans, Krivax, and Axarlian as a threat to their own expansionist agenda. There were whispers of impending conflict, of a war that could engulf not just Earth, but multiple star systems. Elena, Zorn, and Jorah had spent long hours discussing how to address this looming threat. They knew that the strength of their alliance would be put to the ultimate test in the coming years. We have faced extinction and emerged stronger, Elena continued, her voice taking on a note of steel. We have overcome prejudice and fear to forge bonds stronger than blood. And now, as we look to the stars, we carry with us the lessons of our shared history. Zorn nodded, his commanders bearing evident as he addressed the crowd. We do not seek conflict, but neither will we shy away from defending what we have built. Our strength lies not in weapons or ships, but in our unity, our diversity, our ability to see solutions where others see only problems. Jorah raised her hands, a gesture that called for attention. The galaxy is vast and full of wonders we have yet to imagine, but it is also home to dangers we must face together. The path ahead will not be easy, but I have faith that together we will meet any challenge that comes our way. As the three leaders stood united before their people, a sense of purpose and determination swept through the crowd. They had reshaped a world, forged a civilization out of the ashes of near extinction. Whatever the galaxy might throw at them, they would face it as one. The ceremony concluded with the unveiling of a new starship, the culmination of their combined technological prowess. Named Unity, it was more than just a vessel of exploration. It was a symbol of their shared journey and a promise of the adventures yet to come. As the sleek ship rose into the sky, its engines glowing with a light that seemed to defy the laws of physics, cheers erupted from the assembled crowd. Humans, Krivax, and Exarlian alike raised their voices in celebration, their differences forgotten in the face of their shared accomplishments and hopes for the future. Alina, Zorn, and Jorah watched the ship disappear into the atmosphere, each lost in their own thoughts. They had come so far from that first tense meeting a century ago. The journey had been filled with challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But it had also been a journey of discovery, of forging bonds that transcended species, of proving that the impossible was merely a challenge waiting to be overcome. As the sun set on this historic day, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, the three friends turned to each other. No words were needed. Their shared look spoke volumes. Whatever the future held, whatever challenges awaited them among the stars, they would face them together. The Earth, once a frozen wasteland, now stood as a beacon of hope in the galaxy, a living testament to the power of cooperation, the strength found in diversity, and the indomitable spirit of life itself. As night fell and the first stars became visible in the darkening sky, the planet pulsed with life and purpose, ready to take its place in the grand tapestry of the cosmos. The story of Earth, of humanity, the Krivax, and the Exarlian was far from over. In many ways, it was just beginning. But one thing was certain. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it united, three species bound by a shared past and a common dream of a better future. As unity vanished into the depths of space, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of a world reborn, a new chapter in the grand cosmic story was about to unfold, and Earth, in all its restored glory, was ready to play its part.